I was able to pop the seal out of one of those new spindles without damaging it. And what we've got is the spacer. This is the one that came in the new spindle. This is from my old spindle. This one is 15 thousandths taller, longer. And I don't know if 15 thousandths is enough to put the right tension on those bearings, but we are going to try putting this spacer in there, put it all back together. I probably will not put the seal in it, leave the seal out for right now, and just see how much tension that puts on the bearing. Our next option will be, I've got 3 of these washers, actually more of them than that. I think I've got 4 of these, and they are the right outside diameter, but they are too much on the inside. But I think I could chuck these up. I can get these in the lathe somehow, where I could turn down that. I'll have to see. I could chuck one of the old shafts up in the lathe and you know, put the spacer on it and see if I can turn the spacer down to where it will fit inside of that bearing, basically to where it's about this diameter, this outside diameter here. And this is about 60 thousandths, and so we could try that. I don't know if 15 thousandths can be enough, but we'll see. I should not have to do all this work to make this thing work. Hot. Alright, so what I've got here is some of the washers, or the spacers that came in there, and then my 3 washers are sandwiched in here, and that's some that machined off. And so they are machined to the same diameter as this. And so they're bolted in this shaft to keep them from spinning. So we need to unbolt this, we can get our spacers out, and hopefully that's about the right thickness. I'm afraid they're going to be too thick, but we'll see. Alright, we went from that to that. And I probably went a little thin on them. Probably could have left them a little bit thicker if you look at how they fit on the bearing. But I wanted to make sure I had enough room for grease to still get in there. So I went ahead and just went about the thickness of the spacers. That's what they are. And of course, since they fit a little loose around the shaft just a little bit, they when I put them on the lathe, they weren't quite centered. So, but they are good enough that we've got 3 spacers, and hopefully they're not too thick. And we're going to put these between the bearing and the spacer, and that's going to space the bearing out a little bit thicker to hopefully give us enough clearance. Now, this is the original spacer for the, this is the one, I think I'll have to clean it up and look. We want to use the one that came with these spindles because it was, like I said, 15 thousandths shorter, and we're going to need, with these being about 60 thousandths, we're going to need the thinner spacer. Well, those spacers I made were too thick, and so I took the old ones of these and made some super thin spacers. But I don't know. You hear the looseness in the bearings? I don't know if that's too much. It's a good bit. Man, it's so close to being right. Probably like 20 thousandths. I guess I could try shaving those down a little bit. Making them much thinner, and they're going to be, I don't know, that one right there is a little bit thinner. I could try swapping it. We'll see if that makes a difference. We might have to play around with the different thicknesses on the different ones maybe. Let's see. Alright, thin spacer is perfect. So I got the seal back in. There's really not any slop in this. Once these run a little bit, I might have to take the spacer out. I don't know. These are definitely odd. This one feels okay. It's not too tight. I might leave this one alone. I think what we've got is sloppy manufacturing. This one is super tight. So we're gonna take this one apart and try one of our other spacers. That one's got just a little bit more drag than that one, which has our spacer in it. So I'm gonna leave it for now and we'll see what it does. I think they've got sloppy manufacturing on either the spacer or the housing itself on the depth of the race, and that's where we're having our issues. Man, I can't imagine that nobody has had this issue before. I mean, it smoked the belt. It obviously was too tight. The bearings were too tight, and I torqued them to spec. There's nothing I'm doing wrong here. If I am, feel free to comment, and I'll either say, oh yeah, you're right, or I'll explain why that's not true, because there's something funky going on here, and I think it's the manufacturing of these spindles. Now keep in mind, spindle for this thing from the manufacturer is close to $100, and I got 3 for $100. I've already been able to tell that the seals are pretty crappy. I guess you get what you pay for. I guess I would have been better off rebuilding my old ones. I don't know. I mean, the time I've spent jacking around with this is been like all day, and that's a big waste of time. So probably should have either rebuilt my old ones or bought the OEM ones, but too late for that now. We're gonna continue forward, and we'll put a spacer in there, and we'll see if that fixes that one, a shim in that one, and see if that fixes that one. And then, like I said, we're gonna leave that one alone for right now, and then we're gonna put the belt on it. I've got to jack that one full of grease. I had to clean the bearing again. We'll jack that one full of grease again. Probably have to jack this one full of grease again, pump it full of grease again, and we'll let it run again without the blades and just see what it does, see if it starts trying to smoke the belt again. And we're gonna have to clean this grease off the belts, or off the pulleys. All right, got the other one back together, put the thinnest spacer I had in it, and it's got just a little bit more slop than the other side, but I think it will be okay. And I just realized my pulley is not on, so let's fix that real quick. We are on good. Let's see what it does. No blades on it still. All right. I think that's pretty good. Pretty good test. We didn't smoke the belt any. The belt's pretty hot, but that one's hot. That one's hot. That one's hot. They're all hot, but idler's hot. Idlers are hot too, so everything's hot. All right, we're gonna go ahead and put the blades on, and I guess we'll see how it does. I'll check the end play. There's really not that much in there. I don't know. Middle one's the only questionable one right now. If it's too tight, the others are definitely should be okay. I don't like this, but it's what I got, and definitely would not buy these. Like I said, if you see that I'm doing something wrong, feel free to let me know. I'm gonna go put the blades on. Not the best camera angle, but it's gonna do. It turns this way, so your blades are gonna go that way. Make sure you put the cutting edge going that way. These are some good blades, made in USA, unlike the Spindles. All right, 15/16. It's a 12 point. I really wanted a 6 point, but all I could find. Brought the blades closer. It'd be nice if one of y'all could hand it to me. Alright. Middle one about to go on. And the ground here is nasty and I'm sweaty. My clothes are going to be muddy when I get up. Problem is, these bolts are not the best. I'm gonna probably need to order some bolts before I try to take these blades off again, or before I try to put them back on again. They're just in rough shape. That's why I wanted a 12 point. They're pretty rounded. Or that's why I wanted a 6 point. My socket got stuck. It's because it tried to turn on the bolt. See if we can get this last one on with this 12 point. Need a 6 point. Let's see what I can do. I think in this middle one I might be able to get my 6 point. It's further forward, so we can try. on this side. That one's tight too. They're all tight. Oh, man, a job I never thought would end. What a mess. All right. Let's go to like 2 1/4. That's a decent mowing height. And we will test it out in just a minute. I'm gonna check the oil and everything.